Hey, it's been a while. It's going to be a bit more of a heavier video, so if you're feeling real good, maybe now's not the right time to watch it. No, it's nothing too intense. Hopefully, some of the perspective that I've gained from quitting my job and being unemployed now is useful to you guys. So, I quit my job recently, and a large part of it is just I've noticed a decline in my mental and general well-being over the past 3 years. At first I thought it was like this, but it's more like this, where there's little peaks and troughs throughout. You know, you get a promotion and ooh, that feels good. Or you get a shout out and ooh, that feels good. But the overall trend is that it was going down. The second thing is I'm at a point in my life where I can take a risk of being unemployed. You know, I just turned 24 and I don't want to live a life where I never tried to pursue a passion that I've thought about for so long. Ever since I was 17, I've had the notion that I wanted to help people. And back then when you're 17, you know, you're so young and foolish and silly, you can't really make a long-term career choice with good confidence. So at the time, I'm changing so often. Maybe at 17, I wanted to help people, but then in 6 months, I wanted to be a violinist. And then another 6 months, maybe I wanted to be like a bull rider. So no confidence in making a long-term decision. And that's largely why I went into computer science. It was a 3-year degree. It made my parents happy, and there's a lot of money in the industry. So it made sense in the short term. But after 7 years, from 17 to 24, that desire to help people is still there, if not stronger. So then you could say with pretty damn good confidence, it's at least worth trying. Whether or not it's something I want to do as a career or forever, I need to make sure that I determine that for myself by doing it, by trying. Because I'd rather experience that for myself than live throughout my 30s and 40s thinking, oh, what if, or I could have. I'd rather have that conclusion for myself. And the third thing is to do with time. So the average person maybe dedicates about 50 hours of their week to work. That includes, you know, waking up, getting ready, going to work, etc. And when I was employed or when I was working, I like to do everything as soon as possible in my day. So I'd wake up, I'd go to work, I'd gym after work, I'd come home, do all my chores, cook, clean, get ready for the next day, admin, that sort of thing. And by the end of the day, I'm left with like a 1 to 3 hour block of pleasure where I can just fully be myself, or not be myself, where I can fully just do my own thing and relax. And I guess when I was a bit younger, I was a little more naive and thought you can work a full-time job and a side hustle. And I still think you can, but it's not as easy as I initially thought, where you're left with a couple of hours at the end of your day, and that's when you'd really have to push it. That period is to really take care of yourself, and you're running on fumes at that point. So if you did want to pursue a passion project, you don't have the energy, the brain power, or you're just not as capable to do it. And it's not a sustainable solution in the long term. So I thought to myself, what can I do if I gain 50 hours back in a week? What can I do if I get all of that healthy energy where my critical thinking is there, where I'm much more mentally capable? And like I said, I'm 24 now, and I don't have, you know, hella responsibilities in the sense that I don't have kids, I don't own a house, I don't have a mortgage to pay. And I think it's noble to have these hopes and dreams. I'm sure everyone does, but it doesn't really mean much unless you have a plan in place. The first thing I had to do was do a financial projection of how long I'd last. And it's about 4 to 5 months. And I don't plan on being unemployed for more than 3 because that's a pretty long time. And the next thing I had to do was weigh up the pros and cons for both leaving and staying, because they're not the same thing. And what was pretty fascinating is 90% of the pros for leaving were emotionally driven or emotionally based. Things like less anxious, more time, able to take care of myself, regain my character, that sort of thing. And then the last 10% were like monetary or career points. And on the other hand, 90% of the cons were monetary and career aspects. So things like no income, pause in career development, no networking, that sort of thing. And the next thing I had to do was to ask myself, well, what's important to me right now? And my priority is my health. I don't want to be someone who's, mentally rotten, but a millionaire, because we all know from celebrities that you can hardly get much joy in life being in that position. Just like if I was 150 kilos, but also a millionaire, I'm at the risk of having a heart attack tomorrow. Nothing good stems from poor overall health. Um, Health has to come first, and then all of your fulfillment, all of that meaning will follow from there. So I had to do the pros and cons. And the last thing was to actually build a plan of how my next 3 months looks like. Because again, you can have all the fantasies and dreams in the world, but to actually have a plan in place is necessary so you don't just fuck around for 3 months. It's really easy to just wake up in the morning, scroll on YouTube, oh damn, new video. You waste away like a month. So having a plan in place is really useful just to give you some general structure so you don't fall off the rails completely. That's more or less why I've come to the decision of leaving. I want to take a 3-month stint, just try it in my life. I'm sure that when I'm 80, I'm not going to regret it. There's actually this really interesting article, I think, called The Top 5 Regrets Before People Die. And it's this nurse who works with terminally ill people, and she asks them what are their biggest regrets before they die. And the number one regret of all the people she's asked is that they didn't live a life that was true to themselves, and they lived for someone else. And I think that speaks volumes for a lot of people, myself included. And the second thing was that they wish they didn't go or do so much overtime. And you can imagine that, right? If you're like on your deathbed or just hella old, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm so glad I did that 200 hours of overtime or however many hours. You're going to be like, nah, man, fuck that. I'm glad I took that sick day to go see my sick parents or my friend or that person I hadn't seen in a while. And the third thing was that they didn't spend enough time with their friends and family. I'll link the article below because I don't remember all of the details, but I think that's really useful perspective and something to keep in the back of your mind to remind you what's important. I'm really interested to know if people who watch this video, if you've been through a similar thing where you quit your job because you wanted to pursue your passion project or you're thinking about it, because a lot of the people around my age, 24, suddenly are falling into the same type of thinking where they're feeling kind of trapped in their career or their lives. And I'm really interested to know if anyone watching this has been in a similar situation or is in a similar situation, or if they pursued a passion project. Just really keen on getting some more perspective because I love that stuff. I really appreciate you guys for watching. It's a bit more of a heavier video, like I said, but if you watch the whole thing, I am really grateful. And please leave a comment below if you do have any sort of feedback or anything you want to share. So yeah, appreciate it, guys. See you next time.